Hello, I'm hoping to help you if you're new to Dominaria United drafting and sealed. These are some cards that I have found to be good. They just seem better, and I will give some reason as to why. For example, the two on the screen right now, Sprouting Goblin and Scout of the Wilderness. Similar effects, but Sprouting Goblin is better. And if you're curious as to why, it costs less with the kicker, and it lets you search for your poor man dual lands, which have a land type, but it isn't a basic land, which is key. Also, when the utility of it drops, you can just sack it to draw a card, which is a great feeling. You know you're getting good stuff there. All the cards to look for in red that I would suggest: Flowstone Infusion. It can be a simple kill for 1 mana. It's essentially a shock to a creature, or on your big creature, if it has trample, you can do a lot. You get a little more damage. Underrated card that I have found: Jaya's Firenado. At first, 5 for 5 damage seems absolutely horrible, until you realize there is a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 creatures that are able to outlive this card. 8 creatures out of this set. And some of those creatures aren't even guaranteed. Such as Urborg Lurgoyf and Territorial Morrow. Now, Territorial Morrow will probably be a 6/6, assuming your opponent's going to try to play 3 colors. There's not too many reasons not to play 3 colors in Dominaria United. But otherwise, the only things you're not going to be really killing are Briar Hydra, Defiler of Vigor, Mossbeard Ancient, Silverback Elder, the Territorial Hydra, or Territorial Morrow, like I said. Shivan Devastator isn't a guarantee to survive this. It costs X and a red, so your opponent needs to have 6 mana, 7 mana just to survive it. Tyrannical Pit Lord, like I said, the Urborg Lurgoyf, and Yavimaya Sojourner. Not too many things. So it's really underestimated. Plus, it's probably going to kill any Planeswalker, assuming you can hit that stuff early enough. Granted, there are cards that get +1/+1 counters with kicker. Some of those could possibly be an issue for you, but overall, I don't think this card should be overlooked. Plus, you get a scry one. Not much, but it helps. It definitely helps. Hurloon Battle Hymn. 4 damage, solid. And if you kicked it, so you're bringing it up to 4, you get 4 life back. Huge, huge. Yavimaya Steel Crusher. Don't overlook this. It's a Grizzly Bear with Enlist, which I'm not the biggest fan of Enlist, especially after I found out the hard way that it's only power, not toughness, for the Enlist. But even after it's outlived its usefulness, you can still take down an artifact. You can go kill the corrupted Weatherlight. So it's a good feeling. Other solid red cards include Lightning Strike. Nothing needed to say there. Simple. Electrostatic. Yeah, I can't even talk. Electrostatic Infantry. 2 for a 1/2 that gets counters on it anytime you play an instant or a sorcery. I'll take that any day. That will always go in my deck. Thrill of Possibility. What's not to say? You're drawing 2 cards. Yeah, you had to discard a card to play it, but you're going to get 2 for it. You're going to find something probably better. Another nice card. Similar effect to the electrostatic infantry, where you get a boost for playing instants and sorceries. Not counters on this one, but very, very aggressive. And if you're playing red-white, it's not too hard to give it trample. I'm assuming there's probably cards in green that I just have missed that are not in my memory at the moment, but I guarantee you can give it trample, and that would make it nice and pretty. Plus, you can kick it, bring it up to 5. I mean, it's a little spendy, but you kick it, you're bouncing a creature. Later game, that can be key. Especially if someone has one of those big creatures that's a 6/6 or higher that you can't take down with your Fire NATO. Splatter Goblins for black. I think this is going to be underrated. You can block something, hopefully kill it, and maybe take out a 1/1 token. It's essentially a fixed version of Goblin Fanatic in my mind. It costs a little more, it's also a little bigger, but it doesn't feel that bad. Cut down. This will take down a majority of creatures in this. You're destroying a creature with total power and toughness to 5 or less. Yeah, you're not going to take out the big baddies, but there's plenty of little annoyances that can become big baddies quick. Urborg Repossession. It's a nice 1-drop. What's not to love about getting a card back from your graveyard? And you gain 2 life? If you kick it, you get a second card back? Or you get a creature for the first one and just another permanent for the second. I'll take that. I will take that all day. Bone Splinters. If you have a token generator, or a way to generate tokens, this will take care of those big baddies that I referenced earlier that couldn't be taken down with the Fire NATO. They're great. They are nice. Moving on to blue. Tolarian Geyser. You're going to return a creature to its owner's hand. Draw a card. If it's kicked, you gain 3 life. That's going to help stabilize you so much. So much. Don't underlook it. Joint Exploration. You're going to scry 2, then draw. That's wonderful right there. And if you kicked it, you get to put an additional land. Well, put a land from your hand onto the battlefield. Essentially a second land for the turn. Yeah, I'll take that. I will definitely take that, especially if I'm going to get the scry 2. Impulse. You're going to look at the top 4 cards. Of your library and put one of them into your hand and the rest on the bottom. It's a gamble, but I would say it's better than not, because you're looking at 4 cards and you're going to find what you need at that moment. And only for 2 mana. It's nice. And I think for draft or sealed, very, very playable. Impede Momentum. This card, I was on the receiving end of it, and it stopped me in my tracks. I had to use 2 combat tricks just to get this taken care of. You're going to tap a creature down and put 3 stun counters. That's huge. Huge. And you get to scry 1. It's nice. That big baddie, if you can take it down for 3 turns before it's gonna, be able to hit you again, you're essentially suspending it for 3 turns. I'll take that. I would be more than happy. Battling Mystic. Its kicker is 1 red. You can discard your hand. You don't need to have a hand, but then you get to draw 2. If you're playing very aggressively, splashing this in for 3, not a bad deal. It's a 2/1 flyer for 2. You get evasion, and you can draw 2 for 1 red. Not something to overlook. One of my favorite cards. Simple combat trick here. Shore Up. 1 blue. Target creature you control gets a +1. Gets +1/+1 and gains hexproof until end of turn. And you get to untap it. This can make and break someone's day. Someone tries to kill your creature, tries to put stun counters on it. You can give your creature hexproof and +1/+1, which means for a majority of creatures in the set that are 3/3s, now it's a 4/4 with hexproof. You just rained on their day. They're going to be a sad panda. They're going to rethink having to attack you. Or, as a simple combat trick, after they declare attacks, you can untap your creature and watch as they cry when you just snuck their creature to the graveyard. Good card. Definitely a want for me anytime I see it. Destroy Evil. For 2, getting rid of any of the creatures that I mentioned earlier that are more toughness than 6. This card is just a slap in their face. My goodness. I would not want to have to deal with that at all. If I have any of those creatures, this is the card I'm fearing most. Because it's so cheap and just so easy to wreck someone's day. And it's instant. You could play one of those big creatures and then watch your creature die in the same turn. Heartbreaking. Next card on the list, Heroic Charge. Creatures you control get 2 and +2/+1. If it's kicked, they also gain trample. Yeah, it's no overrun. But does it have to be? I mean, we're talking 6 to do that? Like it's a good combat trick. Just a good combat trick. And this next card though, my goodness. This is an all-star for me. I will pick this card all day long. It's like Shore Up. Stall for time, 3 mana. I get to tap 2 creatures down. I get essentially an unblocked combat with all hopes. Or I get to stall off to make sure that they aren't blocking or attacking. If I kick it, I know I'm going to feel better knowing that I've bought myself the time I need to stabilize. Hopefully I don't have to. Hopefully I'm using this on the aggro side of things where I'm just going all in. And I have. This card has won me games. Same with this next card. Join forces. I had to use 2 of these back to back to take care of the 1 blue card from earlier. Where was it? The impede motion and joint forces. I had to use 2 of those back to back just so I didn't have to worry so much. Like, I was watching my opponent building and he was whittling me down. But thanks to this card, I was able to at least stabilize. It made me go from the brink of death to being able to stop my opponent in their tracks. Citizen's Arrest. Good removal. Good removal for white. Not too many things are gonna, be destroying it. You got Destroy Evil, that can get it, but people aren't going to be running Destroy Evil to get rid of a Citizen's Arrest. They're going to go for other things. Speaking of Destroy Evil, am I going nuts here? Yeah, I'm going nuts. Okay. But, again, this on any of the big beefy guys will just rain on the parade of your opponent. Any big target. Runic Shot. Again, white's ability to destroy with this card. Your opponent gets in that 1 time to attack. Doesn't matter. You've just taken care of that issue. There's a handful of creatures with vigilance that this doesn't help. But with stun counters and all their stuff, you can still take care of creatures that that have vigilance. Yeah, it takes the 2 cards to do it. So you're doing a 2 for 1. But sometimes 2 for 1 is worth it if that creature's giving you, a lot of flack. Broken Wings. Destroy target artifact, enchantment, or creature with flying. That is a lot of flexibility. And shouldn't be underestimated. If you're playing green, flying creatures are going to be the bane of your existence. Definitely look into these. Colossal Growth. It's a spendy giant growth that can become a titanic growth. Still a little more spendy, but it also gains trample. Not as bad as you'd think, especially in a sealed environment. The Yavimaya Iconoclast. It's better than a bear, right out the gate. It's a 3/2 with trample. And if you can pay the 3, it's a 4/3 with trample and haste for that first turn. Don't overlook this guy. Especially because turn 2 you can play this guy. Turn 3 you can go in with that Colossal Growth. Or one of the next cards coming up. And get in for a lot of damage. Gaia's Might. +1/+1 for each basic land type. What's not to love about this? If you're going red, green, and you have those sprouting goblins, where you kicked them and got that, you got your poor man dual lands that come into play tapped, this guy's going to get good. This card is going to get good quick. Fun card. Good combat trick. You can turn around the game really quick with one of these. Strength of the Coalition. It's a weaker giant growth, but if you kick it, I mean, it can be pretty good. If you are running a really aggro deck, this card can be really good. I do hesitate a little bit with it, but I would rather play this than a lot of other cards. And the final card that I will bring up that I can really, talk about is the Lawnmower Stalker. I watched this card do wonders for me. Because you're playing green, you're probably going to be on the aggro side of things. So you're going up your yeah, I got it, kitty. You're going up you're up your turns. You play this turn 1, turn 2, you're playing your Grizzly Bear, turn 3, you're playing something else. It's getting in there. And there's a possibility you're going to be getting more than +1/+0. You could be getting +3/+0 if you got the right cards. Don't underestimate it. It's a good card.